राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवर धारी जय गिरिवर धारी जय यशोदानंद जय भजन रंजन जय यशोदानंद जय भजन रंजन जय यशोदानंदन जय व्रजजन रंजन जय यशोदानंदन जय व्रजजन रंजन जय यमुना तिरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जाए। श्री राधा माधव की जय। जगन्नाथ बलेश्वर माई की जय। नरसिंह भगवान की जय। पंच तत्व की जय। षड गोस्वामी की जय। गुरु परंपरा की जय। श्री गुरुपाद की जय। श्री गुरुदेव की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vasudeva, the author. Nashta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavata seviya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So, Hare Krishna, Prabhu Mataji, welcome all of you. Thank you for joining. So, we'll discuss one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 23rd chapter. The verse number is 51. 323, 51. It's the same chapter, Devati's Lamentation, which is continuing. So let us recite the verse. Devahutir uvacha sarvam tad bhagavan mahyam upovaha pratishrutam athapi me prapannaya abhayam datum arhasi. Devahutirvacha Sarvam Tad Bhagavan Mahyam Upovaha Pratishrutam Athapi me prapannaya Abhayam Datumarhasi Devahutirvacha Sarvam Tad Bhagavan Mahyam Upovaha Pratishrutam Athapi me prapannaya Abhayam Datumarhasi. Anybody would like to recite?
Hare Krishna, may I?
Yes, Prabhu.
Devahutirvacha Sarvam Tat Bhagavan Mahyam Ubhovaha Pradishrutam Atapi me pravannaya Abhayam datum harhasi.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anybody else wants to recite? It's a very simple verse.
Devuti Sarvam Tat Bhagavan Mayam Upavaha Partistrutam Atapi me Prapananaya Abhyam Datum Arashi.
Right. Very nice. Thank you. So you go to the word-to-word meaning. Devahutihi, Devahuti, Uvacha said, Sarvam, all, Tat, that, Bhagavan, your lordship, Mahyam, for me, Upovaha, has been fulfilled, Pratishrutam, promised, Ata api, yet, me, unto me, Prapannayai, unto one who has surrendered, Abhayam, fearlessness, Datum, to give, Arhasi, you deserve. Translation and purpose behind Vishal Prabhupada. Hira Prabhupada ki jai. Please hear the translation and purpose. Shri Devahuti said, My Lord, you have fulfilled all the promises you gave me. Yet, because I am your surrendered soul, you should give me fearlessness too. Purport. Devahuti requested her husband to grant her something without fear. So, as a wife, she was a fully surrendered soul to her husband. And it is the responsibility of the husband to give his wife fearlessness. How one awards fearlessness to his subordinate is mentioned in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. One who cannot get free from the clutches of death is dependent, and he should not become a spiritual master, nor a husband, nor a kinsman, nor a father, nor a mother, etc. So it is the duty of the superior to give fearlessness to the subordinate, to take charge of someone, therefore, either as father, mother, spiritual master, relative, or husband, one must accept the responsibility to ward freedom from the fearful situation of material existence. Material existence is always fearful and full of anxiety. Devahuti is saying, you have given me all sorts of material comforts by your yogic power. And since you are now prepared to go away, you must give me your last award so that I may get free from this material conditional life. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Gyantamrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yonta Pravishya Mamachinam Prasuptam Sanjeevayati Klashakti Dharaswadam Nam Anyam Chahasta Charana Shyamanata Gadi Prana Namo Bhagavate Pushayate Namo Shri Vishnu Vishnu Parishanti Mahavishnu Samati Nande Namo Shri Vishnu Vishnu Parishanti So it's a very nice chapter which is being discussed. So which is entitled Devahuti's Lamentation. So again, welcoming all of you, Prabhujis, Matajis. Thank you for keeping up the appointment with Krishna. So keeping appointment with Krishna for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is so glorious, very auspicious. See, time is the root cause of all fear in this world. So what is the root cause? Time. Time is the root cause of all fear in this world. See, because it is with the three divisions, right? Of what? Three divisions of past, present, and future. And it creates terror, no, at the prospect of like impending diseases, death, and the hellish suffering everybody goes through. But only for those who have failed to obtain shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. For them it is fearful. Because Krishna says, in the Ramayana, it is said, in the Lanka Khanda, 18.33, Chakradeva prapanno yas tavasmiti chayachate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadami etat vritam mama. He says, to whomever even once surrenders to me, pleading, I am yours, I give eternal fearlessness. So this is solemn move out. And further in Bhagavad Gita 7.14, Krishna says, Devi he shesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. So this, he says, that this divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who are surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. See, the different types of fear, no? It's not just one fear, right? There are different types of fear which bothers us. We're all very much afraid in our daily life. See, there are 9 types of different fears in our lives. And some of the important fears, let us see from the beautiful verse. And this is a famous verse of Bharatri Hari from Vairagya Shataka. There's 100 verses on that, but these are very few verses. But one of the wonderful verses is this: Bhoge Roga Bhayam, Kule Chuti Bhayam, Vitta Nirpalad Bhayam, Mane Dainya Bhayam, Vale Ripu Bhayam, Rupe Jaraya Bhayam, Shastre Vadi Bhayam, Gune Khala Bhayam, Kaye Kritanad Bhayam, Sarvan Vastu Bhayanvitam, Bhuvi Nrinam Vairagyam Eva Bhayam. Eva Bhayam. See, the whole verse, there is only one Abhayam in this verse. What does Bhayam mean? Bhayam means fear. And these are the 9 fears we have. The first fear is Bhoge Roga Bhayam. You enjoy sense gratification, right? Unlimitedly. And you are victim of the diseases. There are various examples, right? That you run too much after illicit sex and then you are caught up with the AIDS. And you will be dying. So Bhoge Roga Bhayam. So if you run after Bhog, then you are Roga man. Unlimited sense gratification, it will definitely drag you to the disease. And that's why we must come to Srimad Bhagavatam. Because Bhagavatam is not sense gratification. This is a very nice spiritual food. Food for what? Not for the body, it's for the soul. So your soul will be nourished. And as soon as your soul is nourished, your body will follow. So your body will be healthy in any condition of life. And that is, if you come to Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Bhoge Roga Bhayam, that is the greatest fear. Then second is Kule Chuti Bhayam. Kule means great family. You may be born in a royal family, rich family. But if you are born in a royal family, you are afraid always to lose that status by your behavior. And that is Kule Chuti Bhayam. If you are born in a good family, that is also great fear. And then is Vitta. Vitta means riches, big bank balance, So, for example, in that case, government tax officers, income tax officers, they get a spear for them. They will come anytime and bounce on you and say, your balance is increasing. Come, this is my share. And they will take it. And that is a fear if you have riches, especially unlimited riches. Then he says, Mane Dainya Bhayam. If you expect respect from others, again somebody will disrespect you. So that is again fear. And then he says, Rupe Jaraya bhayam. If you are beautiful, handsome, you have a nice body, then there is old age coming, there is disease coming. So you completely lose your beauty. So that is again bhayam. And kaya is our body. Is the greatest fear of death. Because of the body, we are afraid that we may die. So these are the, and in the scripture, that is Shastra, right? Shastra, in the scriptural edition, there is a fear of getting defeated by another scholar. And the eighth one was Shastre Vadi Bhayam, Gune Khala Bhayam. Good behavior, right? For example, we have merits and good qualities. We have the fear that some wicked person will vilify us, will criticize, so many insult us, right? Characterization, all this. And above everything is the body. As long as we have the body, we are afraid of death. But there is one abhaya, fearlessness. And what is this? Vairagyam. If you are renounced, then you are completely fearless. If you leave everything, there is no fear at all. Because nothing belongs to us. You don't have anything to lose. We will only worry about theft if you have anything. Right? If you don't have anything, then what is there to be lost? There is nothing to be lost. So you're completely satisfied. My Guru Maharaj used to say, if you renounce, then you're happy in any condition of life. But if you don't renounce, if you stick to it, then you are afraid. See, Arjuna, he was talking with Krishna in the beginning on friendly terms, right? Just like a friend talks with a friend. But when he saw that his problem was so great that it could not be solved on friendly talks, it must be seriously understood. So, what did he do? He also surrendered himself. Shishyeste amshadi mam tvam prapannam, 2.7 Bhagavad Gita. What is he says? Krishna, now I am confused about my duty and I lost all composure because of weakness. So in this condition, I am asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me what is beneficial. So he says, my dear Krishna, now from this point, I accept you as my spiritual master and I surrender to you. Please teach me. And then Krishna began teaching. So this is the process. See, even one thinks that he knows everything, still before the spiritual master, it should be a blank state that I do not know anything. That is the qualification of a disciple. Because the disciple should approach the spiritual master as if it does not know anything. That is very, very important. So therefore, Prabhupada in one of the lectures, he says, Guru is necessary. See, everyone is perplexed, confused. See, nobody can decide himself, right? Another good point is nobody can decide himself, Prabhupada says. See, even a physician, if a medical man, when he is sick, he does not make his own treatment. He calls for another physician because he is sick. His brain is not in order. So how can he prescribe the real medicine for himself? So that is natural. So similarly, when we are perplexed, bewildered, we cannot make any solution. So at that time, the right person, Guru, is required. It is essential. You cannot avoid it. So in our present existence, we are all perplexed. Arjuna is representing the perplexed position of the materialistic person. And we are actually all perplexed. So under the circumstances, to give us real direction, a Guru is required. Now here, that is why this example, Arjuna decided Krishna as the Guru. He did not go to anyone else to accept as Guru. So Arjuna in the beginning was speaking with Krishna on friendly level, but at last he submitted. I am a disciple, please teach. So this is the process. So inquire from him submissively. And what is that submission? Render service unto him. So try to please Krishna by satisfying him by service. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasada. We sing, right? If Krishna is pleased, then you know Krishna, when Krishna is pleased, then he will do anything for you. And if he is displeased, there is no other way. So submissive. So the self-realized soul, he can impart knowledge. And because you have to select a spiritual master, a self-realized soul, right? That's like if you want to study a particular subject, you have to approach a realized person, a perfect person. Then you get. So the spiritual, the self-realized soul, he can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. And one who has not seen the truth, he cannot. Now, one may question whether you have seen Krishna. So how Krishna can be seen? Yes, spiritual master must have seen Krishna. Without seeing, he cannot be a spiritual master. But how Krishna can be seen? Krishna can be seen by love. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. Bhakti Rasamrita in Brahma Samhita. Where Brahmaji is telling, no, I worship Govinda, premier Lord, who is Shama Sundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion, tinged with the salve of love. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santas Sadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. So just like if you're in love with somebody, you can see him constantly. He's always on your eyes. Anyone you love. So similarly, Krishna can also be seen by development of love. Otherwise, how can we see Krishna? He's so great, unlimited. Your eyes, your senses are all limited. You cannot see the unlimited by your limited senses. But you can see. See, not you can see, but Swayam Eva Smriti Adaha. Chaitanya Charitamrita 17.126, it says. He says, therefore, material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name. You cannot appreciate holy name, forms, qualities, and pastimes. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and renders service by using his tongue to chant the Lord's holy name and tastes the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified. And one gradually comes to understand who Krishna really is. So, when you are developed in the sense of love of Godhead, then Krishna reveals it to you. Therefore, you can see. Prabhupada gives the example, just like the sun. You cannot see the sun by challenge at night. Possible? Not possible. So if somebody says, come on, I shall show you. See, take some aeroplane. What will he see? He can travel all the skies. Still, he cannot see the sun. See, at night, you cannot see the sun. But when the sun rises, you can see the sun. You can see the sun, you can see yourself also. So by seeing sun, you can see yourself. You can see the world. By seeing the sun, you can see yourself also, and you can see the whole world. Similarly, when you see Krishna, then you see everything. Without seeing Krishna, your eyes are blind. Your senses are imperfect. Therefore, it is said that a self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So Arjuna is giving his own example, right? Himself, that he is accepting Krishna as the spiritual master. And then Krishna began to teach Bhagavad Gita. And he changed his decision. And he was freed from all anxieties. This is spiritual life. So the spiritual realization is easier than any kind of material realization. Because we are not meant for material realization. We are meant for spiritual realization. The human form, so that we should take advantage of it, this human form. So that is the mission of human form of life. If we miss this, then we are committing suicide. See, in Bhagavatam 4:26-17 purport, Prabhupada says, the wife of King Puranjana was lying on the ground because she was neglected by her husband. Actually, the woman must always be protected by her husband. We always speak of the goddess of fortune as being placed on the chest of Narayana. The wife must remain embraced by her husband. So she becomes beloved and well protected. See, just as one saves his money and places it under his own personal protection, one should similarly protect his wife by his own personal supervision. Just as intelligence is always within the heart, so a beloved, chaste wife should always have a place on the chest of a good husband. So this is the proper relationship between husband and wife. Wife is therefore called Ardhangini, or half of the body. See, one cannot remain with only one leg, one hand, or one side of the body, right? He must have two sides. Similarly, according to nature's way, husband and wife should live together. In the lower species of life, among birds and animals, it is seen that by nature's arrangement, the husband and wife live together. So similarly, the ideal thing in human life for the husband and wife is to live together. The home should be a place for devotional service. And the wife should be chaste and accepted by a ritualistic ceremony. So in this way, one can become happy at home. Otherwise, as Prabhupada says in the purport of this 51st verse, which we recited in the beginning, right? 5:18, very 5th canto, 5th chapter, 18th verse. Guru na sasyat, swajano na sasyat, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, daivam na tatsya na patishcha sasyat, namo chayedya samupeta mrityum. It says, one who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death, one who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a worshipful demigod. So it is the duty, responsibility of a spiritual master, of a father, of a mother, husband, or demigod, right? To take out from the miseries of this world all these living entities, especially the human form of life, right? To go back to Godhead, to deliver them from the cycle of birth and death. See, in the purport of 3.3, 3rd canto, 33rd chapter, 11th verse, Prabhupada says, material existence is full of anxiety, and therefore it is fearful. Why it is fearful? Material existence is full of anxiety, therefore it is fearful. So one who gets out of this material existence automatically becomes free from all anxieties and fear. So one who follows the path of devotional service, as given by Lord Kapila, he is very easily liberated. See, in the book Journey of Self-Discovery, in the 4th chapter, Prabhupada very beautifully, he was giving examples. See, everyone has a blazing fire within his heart. What is a blazing fire? Blazing fire of anxiety. So that is the nature of material existence. See, always, everyone has anxiety. No one is free from it. See, even a small bird, it has got anxiety. If you give a small bird some grains to eat, he will eat them. But he won't eat very peacefully. He will look this way and that way. Is somebody coming to kill me? This is material existence. See, everyone, even the president of America or prime minister, everybody is full of anxieties. So what to speak of others? Even Mahatma Gandhi, he was full of anxiety. So all politicians are full of anxiety. They may hold a very exalted post, but still the material disease, anxiety is there. So if you want to be anxiety less, then you must take shelter of Guru, the spiritual master. And the test of the Guru is that by following his instructions, you will be free from anxiety. And that is the test. So don't try to find a cheap Guru or a fashionable Guru. It's not a fashion. You can go to a mall and pick up from shelf a spiritual master. No. She said, sometimes we keep a dog as fashion. If you want to keep a Guru as a fashion, I have a Guru. That will not help. Prabhupada says, you must accept a Guru who can extinguish the blazing fire of anxiety within your heart. That is the first test of the Guru. The second test is Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita Vadita Madhyan Manaso Rasen. The second symptom of the Guru is that he is always engaged in chanting, glorifying Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is his business. Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita. The spiritual master is chanting the holy name of the Lord and dancing because that is the remedy for all calamities within this material world. In the purport of 1.12.28, Prabhupada says, material knowledge means ignorance of the knowledge of one's own self. Material knowledge means ignorance of the knowledge of one's own self. Philosophy means to seek after the right knowledge of one's self or the knowledge of self-realization. So without self-realization, philosophy is dry speculation or a waste of time and energy. Very powerful statement by Prabhupada. So therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam gives the right knowledge of one's own self. And by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, one can get free from material attachment and enter into the kingdom of fearlessness. Just by hearing Bhagavatam, we can get free from the anxiety and enter into the kingdom of fearlessness. See, the material world is full of fearfulness. See, its prisoners are always fearful, as within a prison house, In the prison house, no one can violate the jail rules and regulations. And violating the rules means another term of extension of prison life. Similarly, we in this material existence are always fearful. And this fearfulness is called anxiety. Everyone in the material life, in all species and varieties of life, is full of anxieties, either by breaking or without breaking the laws of nature. See, liberation or mukti means getting relief from these constant anxieties. And this is possible only when the anxiety is changed to the devotional service of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam gives us the chance to change the quality of anxiety from matter to spirit. Now, this is done with the association of a learned philosopher, like a self-realized Srimad Sukadeva Goswami, the great son of Srila Vyasadeva. Maharaj Parikshit, after receiving the warning of his death within 7 days, he took advantage of this opportunity. How? By associating with Sukadeva Goswami and achieved the desired result. That's why in the last 56th verse of this chapter, the translation is, anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, anyone whose religious ritualistic performances do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered dead, although he is breathing. So some practical instructions, how we must carry out our work, and how it progressively leads to devotional service to Krishna. First one is, we have to simplify our existence. We must carry out our work, and which leads to devotional service to Krishna. Second is, we should do our own things and not depend on other living entities. Third is, we must efficiently and honestly carry out our prescribed duties. See, the more efficient and honest we are towards execution of our own prescribed duties, the more time we have to put our heads and dwell into Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. Fourth is, we should understand that we are the cause of our own problems. We are the cause of our own problems. That's why we chant in the beginning, right? Chakshur Unmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Where we offer obeisance to our Guru for having opened our eyes wide open with the light of knowledge. So these points help us to purify our karma and lead to development of what is called the art of foreseeing, which is a vision. Art of foreseeing means this is a vision that one day we have to leave this body and go alone without any material possessions. So the only possessions that will eventually accompany us are the spiritual assets, dharma, that we gather. So it is important to attain this platform. See, once we develop the art of foreseeing, which in turn is a result of honest karma we perform, then we are elevated to the platform of dharma and vairagya without any much external effort. So once we are on this platform, we can see the things as they are. And so naturally it comes to, we can come to accept with full faith and determination, right? The greatness of Krishna. So this one will eventually lead us to devotional service, and that is bhakti. That's why Srila Prabhupada expands, referring to chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, where how we cannot remain without any engagement, even for a moment. 3.5 it says. And how Lord Krishna himself is engaged in his prescribed duties. When he came into this material world, just to teaching the living entities. So the necessity to stick to Srila Prabhupada's teachings and never to deviate from them is very, very important. We just have to stick to this principle and improve our spiritual well-being. See, we have See, we all have the experience. That out of the four problems of material existence, namely the food problem, the shelter problem, the fear problem, and mating problem, the fear problem is the most prominent. We see, we are always fearful. Why we are fearful? Due to the ignorance of the next problem. See, in a fearful condition, we seek some shelter. Otherwise, our false ego stops us from taking shelter. We learn from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam that the human soul in the womb of the mother is in a very fearful and precarious situation, right? He's taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who alone can grant fearlessness. So 3:31:12, Bhagavatam. Prayers of the human soul is Janturuvacha Tasyo Pasannam Maitum Jagadachayat Dhana Tanor Bhuvichalach Charanara Vindam Soham Vrajami Sharanam Yakto Bayam Me Yene Drishi Gatiradrishya Sato Anurupa. The human soul says, I take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears in his various eternal forms and walks on the surface of the world. I take shelter of him only because he can give me relief from all fear, and from him I have received this condition of life, which is just befitting my impious activities. See, we take the shelter of the Supreme Lord because he grants us fearlessness. The greatest fearlessness is not to get stuck in the material atmosphere. Material atmosphere always catches us. So we should steer clear. We should steer clear of it. See, while driving in a traffic jam, we steer clear. To steer clear means two things are required. One, to be always alert, and two, to know your destination very clearly. So to steer clear, what do we need? We need two things to steer clear. One, to be always alert, and two, to know your destination very clearly. First one is be alert always. See, unless we are alert while we are driving, we will be banging here and there. So the same thing applies in our life situations also. If we are very alert, not to get stuck in the material world, then there is no difficulty. So that is the training we are getting from Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam gives us the alert situation till the time we are alive here. Alert means we do not want to get stuck in the material world again and again. So we are fed up with the repeated births and deaths. So any activity which forces us to come back, we do not perform. Any activity which forces us to again come back to the material world, we do not perform. Then only we are fearless. And anything we do opposite to this will create more fear. That is, be alert always. And second, keeping your destination very clear. See, it is on account of our impious activities that we are squeezed in the womb. And if you want to relieve ourselves, our activities must be pious. But only acting piously will not help. It may bring us to the material mode of goodness. But we do not want to get stuck in the material mode of goodness. In addition to that, all our activities should lead us to the performance of devotional activities in any one of the 9 ways. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, right? Sorry. So, piety is the correct path. But it is not a destination. Our destination is love of God and His service. See, somehow or the other, our chanting must go on very nicely. Our devotional activities and particularly service should go on. Service is recognized by Krishna. Sorry. So don't get stuck with pious activity only. Sincere service is required. So till your body is under your control, you can run around and time is bound to come when running it is bound to stop. So keep your eyes open and we can see that Srimad Bhagavatam is a very common sense literature. It applies everywhere. That's why in this current chapter, 55th verse, Prabhupada says in the purport, association with a great saintly person also results in liberation. Just as whether one goes towards fire knowingly or unknowingly, the fire will make one warm. So Devavati expressed her gratefulness. For although she wanted to associate with Kardama Muni only for sense gratification, because he was spiritually great, she was sure to be liberated by his benediction. So we can qualify for initiation only when we understand that we are not qualified for the same. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, the root of it all is humility or the due realization of one's ineligibility. If our unfitness for the devotional service is revealed to us, either automatically or by the instructions of others, then we are in a position to appreciate the beauty of the lotus feet of the Lord's devotees. That's why in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 22nd chapter, 7th verse, while thanking Kardama Muni for explaining the duties of a king, Manu says, Dishtya Tvayanushishtoham Kritaschanugraho Mahan Apavritai Karnarandhrair Jushtadishtyo Shatir Giraha. So Manu is telling to Kardama Muni, I have fortunately been instructed by you, and thus great favor has been bestowed upon me. I thank God that I have listened with open ears to your pure words. See how humble we should be when we are hearing instructions from the spiritual master. So Prabhupada very clearly mentioned in the purport, the real fact is that a bona fide spiritual master knows the nature of a particular man and what sort of duties he can perform in Krishna consciousness. And he instructs him in that way. So this is a very important point to understand. The real fact is, he says, the fact is that a bona fide spiritual master, he knows the nature of a particular man, of his disciple, and what sort of duties he can perform in Krishna consciousness. And then he instructs him accordingly. So this line clearly this mentions that the real spiritual master knows the nature of a particular man. And Srila Prabhupada also said, the bona fide spiritual master or saintly person always desires to elevate a common man who comes to him. So let us all follow the instructions of Prabhupada, where he says in the 56th verse, unless one is gradually elevated to the position of devotional service, beginning from his natural activity, he is to be considered a dead body. Work which does not lead one to the understanding of Krishna consciousness is considered useless. So knowing the temporal nature of the body, bodily relations and the material world, we must become attached to eternal devotional service to the eternal Supreme Personality of God Krishna. And we should relish the detachment from temporary material things. See, our karmas, if they don't lead you to religiosity or fruitive activities, if they don't force you to be religious, if your religion doesn't develop in you the detachment, that if that decision doesn't lead you to the devotional service of Lord Krishna, then he says you are just breathing dead. See, dead body doesn't breathe, but you are breathing. That's the difference. That's why it is said, always practice the virtue of remembering Krishna. Abandon all the temporary duties connected to the worldly affairs which are unimportant. Be eager to take association of saintly persons. Give up all the thirst for pleasure of senses. Stop meditating on others' defects. Instead, meditate only on their good qualities and appreciate them. You should enjoy the bliss of serving the Lord and hear his stories with devotion. So this is actually, the final instruction given to Atmadeva by his son Gokarna, when Atmadeva becomes very depressed and troubled. Sorry. Atmadeva becomes very depressed and troubled by the cruel behavior of his other son Dudukari. So he says you have to follow your own dharma. So to understand the meaning of dharma, Prabhupada gives us an example many times. Agni's dharma is to give heat and light. So light and heat cannot be separated from Agni, fire. So from our soul also. Sorry. So from our soul also, the religion of soul cannot be separated, and we know that our soul is very tiny spark. Krishna is the supreme spark. So tiny spark has to be in the service of the supreme spark. We can never become supreme spark. So this is our eternal religion. And it can never be separated from the Atma, the soul. So in the Mahabharata, Sri Vedavasa states that Purusha Shukta is the essence of all Vedas. So Prabhupada gives the following very powerful words in explaining the fear and anxiety. He says, in the material world, there is always anxiety or fearfulness in the hearts of all living entities. But the Lord, being himself the supreme fearless, also awards the same quality of fearlessness to his pure devotees. So mundane existence is itself a kind of fear, because in all mundane bodies, the effects of birth, death, old age, and disease always keeps the living being compact in fear. So in the mundane world, there's always the influence of time, which changes things from one stage to another. And the living entity, originally being unchangeable, suffers a great deal on account of changes due to the influence of time. So, see, the changing effects of eternal time are conspicuously absent in the immortal kingdom of Krishna, spiritual world. So, which should therefore be understood to have no influence of time, and therefore no fear. So, in the material world, the so-called happiness is a result of one's own work. See, one can become a rich man. How? By his own hard work. But there are always fear and doubts as the duration of such acquired happiness. So this is an interesting point to note that fear and anxiety is common to all embodied living entities. So fear and anxiety due to our own uncertainty of things, which may happen in future. So fear is only related to future. So once one of my Godfather asked my Guru Maharaj, about his job. I was telling, I have the fear of future. So not only in the job, in general also, in life also. So he gave a reply, do not worry about future. First of all, we don't know whether there is a future or not. Life is so uncertain these days. So why to worry about something which we are not sure of? See, there's a nice story in this connection. See, once there lived a crazy king ruling a province. No? He used to catch hold of anyone in the kingdom for any small trivial reasons and put him in jail. So once he arrested a young man the same way. So the young man's parents and relatives, they came to the king and requested him. He did not do any mistake. Why are you punishing him? Please listen. The king called the young man and told him, I will give you a task. And you need to complete it in 1 month. If you do it successfully, I will release you. The young man agreed. King gave him a goat and said, I am giving you the charge of this goat and also the food required for 1 month. The food is very nutritious. You should feed the goat for 1 month. After 1 month, you should return this goat to me, but its weight should be the same as the current weight. Now the young man was puzzled and he came back very upset. He explained this to his father. Father said, don't worry, I have a solution for this. The young man followed the solution, and after 1 month, he returned the goat to the king. The king was very happy to see the goat with the same weight and asked the young man, how did he manage it? He said, my father told me to tie a wolf in front of the goat. So no matter whatever I fed, the goat's weight never increased. Why? Because it is a constant fear of the wolf which was present before it. And this fear gave anxiety to the goat. The king then released the young man. That's why the weight was the same. So this story is very relevant to each one of us in the material world. Because we are all constantly threatened by the wolf, which is the time element, and which keeps us in constant fear. So in this world, whatever may be one's situation, no one is exempted from this fear. Because the time element keeps a person in fear, even though he improves the material condition constantly. And even if a person has all comforts, just like the well-fed goat, the fear does not diminish by improving one's material condition alone. So one can overcome fear and anxiety only by understanding Krishna. And complete elimination of fear and anxiety is possible only when we attain the kingdom of God, which is Vaikunta. Vigataha Kunta, a place devoid of anxiety. Kunta means anxiety. Vaikunta, no anxiety. So the scriptures are the best source of knowledge, which will enable us to gain the grace of Krishna, which alone can release us from the fear by transporting us to the kingdom of God. And there's a very perfect fitting verse from Srimad Bhagavatam describing the episode of Gajendra, 8:2-33. Yakashchanesho balinonta koragat prachanda vegat abhidhavato vrisham Vitam prapannam pratipati advayan mrityo pradavat yaranam tam himahi. Gajendra is telling the Supreme Personal Godhead is certainly not known to everyone, but is very powerful and influential. Therefore, although the serpent of eternal time, which is fearful in force, endlessly chases everyone, ready to swallow him. If one who fears this serpent seeks the shelter of the Lord gives him protection, for even death runs away in fear of the Lord. I therefore surrender unto him, the great and powerful supreme authority, who is the actual shelter of everyone. See, generally, people think that when we have to stay alone at home, we would be dull and morose and would surprisingly inquire how I am carrying on with my duties cheerfully without fear during such situations. The simple secret is in 3:21-31, Prabhupada says, to award fearlessness to the common man is the greatest act of charity. The sannyasi or anyone who is in the renounced order of life should wander from door to door, from village to village, from town to town, and from country to country, all over the world, as far as he is able to travel and enlighten the householders about Krishna consciousness. So we are never alone, because the Lord is always present with us. See how even adults would be fearful to enter a dark building, whereas even a small child will enter a temple hall even if it is dark. The difference is presence of the Lord in the form of deity. We are never alone. Krishna is always with us. We would feel lonely only when we don't engage our senses in the service of the Lord. So when we are faced with difficult situations, the sole protector is Krishna. See, we might have so many people who love and care for us, but by the arrangement of time, they may not be present with us all the time. So what protects us under all circumstances is Krishna and the holy names. So the potency of his holy name is very nicely described in 1:1:14 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Apanna samshrutim goram yannama vivashogranam tata sadyo vimuccheta yad bibeti swayam bhayam. So living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death, they can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified. So when one is aware of one's self, spirit soul, and when understands the soul's eternal relationship with Krishna, then only does the well-being begin. Otherwise, everyone in the world is full of anxiety. And everyone is terribly alone and isolated. However, they will try to cover up. See, when a person appears to be very popular and dominating in the midst of social settings, or whether he's a loner, everyone is actually alone. So no other person or group can take an individual. Individual's karma cannot be taken by anybody else, right? And you cannot share it. So no one dies with us, with our own consciousness when we die, right? So no one appreciates exactly how nice we are. So no one knows the long history of our sorrow. So Krishna consciousness, therefore, not only provides association with spiritual persons, it also gives a solution to loneliness. And that solution is self-realization by understanding Krishna is the one's best friend, Suhrit, and the devotee feels immense relief. So we must thus have firm conviction that Krishna as Paramatma will take care of a surrendered soul to him. I shall never be alone. Even if I live in the darkest region of a forest, I shall be accompanied by Krishna, and he will give protection. So one should think like this. That this conviction And faith is called abhayam or fearlessness. I stop here. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tagore. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. I tried with what is my capacity to give how we can be fearless in this material world. It is always fearful. Padam padam yad vipatam. Right? Khalema shvashatam. It's so difficult, but taking the shelter of Krishna and Srimad Bhagavatam, it gives us fearlessness. This 1 hour which sat, we are not thinking, we did not have any anchoring for any material things. We are not envious of others. There is no lamentation, no fear. So what does that mean? This 1 hour, if you're not becoming fear, you don't think about fear. That means because you're in the association of devotees, the association of Bhagavatam. So if you have more and more time given to Bhagavatam and association of devotees and chanting, then the fear will go away and you will become more and more fearless. Thank you very much, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. If you have any questions or anything to share, please let me know.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Today's class was everything about fear and removing fear.
Yes,
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The story of the wolf and the calf was very nice. The goat, sorry. The
Goat,
goat was
yeah.
very nice. And
Thank
it elevates us to a different platform. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have one question.
Yes, Motherji.
Prabhu, I just listened that so when we are engaged with the bhakti, but we never feel alone. But sometimes the situation comes that everybody are there, but we feel that nobody is there, and then I am alone.
Hmm.
So how
Okay.
to tackle that? Yes.
Yeah, it happens, but in what way it happens? See, one is if you are spiritually inclined, even if people are around, you'll be alone with Krishna. That is appointment with Krishna. Right? So this is the good situation we should be in. But you are telling that we are everybody is there, but still I feel alone. That means agitation, a lot of problems around, right? So many criticisms, anger, all these things all these anathas are all around. So at that moment you feel, because I am chanting and doing everything, but still I feel uneasy. Agitation is there, everything is there. So that is the thing you feel you are alone, right, Mataji? That's what you are asking. This is the question
Yes,
for you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that means we expect, since I am also chanting, I am in Krishna consciousness, you expect others also to follow just as I am doing. The moment you expect, then your sadhana also will have difficulties. Then your chanting doesn't have the effect, no? Means you're chanting, but your mind is still not fully into the Krishna. That's like you're calling a guest and just we ignore him. You're calling Krishna and you think about other things, then you're not giving him the respect. So my point is, Mataji, in this world, nobody is perfect. Imperfection is there, everyone. The point is, we expect everybody to be perfect. Just if I am perfect, we feel we are perfect. We are not. But we are doing some good things like, so we expect others also to do the same thing. There the problem arises. So don't expect, right? The expectation is, no expectation is the greatest expectation. So that is, so because of the expectation, the thing comes. We expect my father, my mother, or child, husband, they also should come and sit with me and chant. Or they should also follow what I am doing.
But
Maybe
this is by
one good thing
default.
maybe.
The expectation
Yes,
is by default, actually. Expectation. So I am like
Correct,
this,
correct.
others also like this. So that is the expectation
Yeah.
we built from the childhood, actually. So how in between now, so yeah, it is bothering me, and then it is affecting me. And actually previously I was so angry, but after doing chanting and then coming to temple and then so with all the devotees, right? So I have reduced getting anger. I'm actually what's happening is it is suppressing myself. I'm suppressing myself, but it is the impact for me is it is my health. This is what I can see that actually. So that is also not good actually. So suppressing myself and then impacting to my health also, it's not okay. Yeah.
Correct. See, nothing can be forcefully suppressed. That means, point is when you expect somebody, anger comes, you immediately react. Somebody criticizes you, reaction comes, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
That is the reaction. So maybe what you're telling is, It should not be suppressed. Suppressing is a different thing. Maybe you can discuss. It's not that you react and shout back. Then it will becomes Mahabharata. So that's not the issue. Suppressing. So see, chanting. For example, you have an appointment with Krishna. Suppose in morning you have Mangalarti, you are attending. You tell Krishna, now this 15 minutes, I'm going to chant 3 rounds. There is appointment with you. Nobody can bother me. So you chant very nicely with full attention. You see the difference. It really impacts very nicely. Another good point is, Mata, is you don't expect, right? Now, you are being allowed to do your Krishna consciousness. There are so much families, they have not, suppose Prabhu is not in Krishna conscious, Mata is Krishna conscious, but Prabhu doesn't allow her to be in Krishna conscious. He will not allow her to do that. But maybe you are very more fortunate that at least your families are allowing you to be chanting, going to the temple and doing all these Krishna consciousness activities. That is the greatest fortune.
Yes,
So it should be very, otherwise if they don't allow you to do, then all the more difficult.
yes.
Right? So you should be thanking Krishna for what is given. You're given a good family. Because these material difficulties will be there, Mataji.
Yes.
Just like the example I always give. We think that when we chant Krishna's name, we come to Krishna conscious association devotees, everything is done very nicely. Problems will not touch us. No, it will always be. The problems will be there. See, if you go out in the rain, what do? You take your umbrella, right?
Yes.
So the moment you take out the umbrella, does the rain stop?
No.
No. Rain stops. Rain doesn't stop. But at least it will not touch you because you opened the shelter of the umbrella.
Yes.
Similarly, if you have taken the shelter of Krishna, the moment you take the shelter of Krishna, the miseries which are still moving around, it will not touch you. Less and less, the intensity will become lesser and less.
Sure.
So it is a slow process, but it's up to each individual how to go about it. So as you tell Mataji, initially you got angry and everything. Now it is going down and down. But I am suppressing. Please, the suppressing should not be suppressing. Basically, instead of divert that suppressing to chanting Krishna's name, reading Bhagavad Gita, reciting verses, or you associate with the devotee. If you have any difficulties, just call your devotee friend or no, speak to him and discuss one verse or something. So your mind gets diverted. You will get dovetail everything towards Krishna. Then automatically the higher test will be there. When the higher test is there, lower test will automatically vanish. You don't have to forcefully remove the lower test. I was able to have some help, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you very much. So thank you. If anything, otherwise we'll stop here. Thank you for this opportunity to glorify the Lord. Thank you, Balaji Prabhu, Sindhu Mataji, Snehipala Mataji, Shanta Govinda Prabhu, Shivkumar Prabhu, and Sindhu Mataji. Hare Krishna. Revati Dandan Prabhu, thank you for organizing this.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Take care, be safe. Hare
Hare
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.